In today's story, everything in Genoa City begins to shift in a way no one expected. It all starts with a young man named Holden Novak, who has recently been thrown into a life-changing storm. Just when he thought he understood who he was and where he came from, everything suddenly turns upside down. Holden learns something shocking: the man who raised him is not actually his biological father. That single truth alone is enough to shake his entire world. But what makes things even more intense is what comes next: the discovery of a biological connection to one of the most powerful families in town. He is told that he may be connected to the Winters family, and that possibility alone leaves him speechless. Because if it is true, then everything he believed about his identity has been a lie. Holden is overwhelmed. He doesn't know who to trust, or where to even begin. His emotions are all over the place: confusion, fear, shock, and a strange hope that maybe, just maybe, he finally belongs somewhere. With all of this pressure building inside him, Holden does what any broken and confused person would do: he reaches out for someone to talk to. That person is Claire Newman. Claire becomes the one steady presence in Holden's chaotic world. She listens to him carefully as he opens up about everything he has just discovered. For the first time in a while, Holden feels like someone actually understands what he is going through. He explains how his entire identity feels like it has been rewritten overnight. How every memory, every belief about his past suddenly feels uncertain. Claire doesn't interrupt. She just listens. And that alone gives Holden a little bit of comfort. But what neither of them realizes is that someone else is listening too. Unbeknownst to Holden and Claire, Audra Charles is nearby, and she overhears their conversation. And this is where things begin to take a darker turn. Audra is not just casually listening. She is paying close attention to every detail, every word, every emotional confession that Holden shares. And the more she hears, the more interested she becomes. Because Holden's situation is not just emotional, it is connected to something much bigger. Something that involves family secrets, medical tests, and life-changing truth. At this point, Holden is not thinking about danger. He is only thinking about answers. He needs clarity. He needs proof. And most importantly, he needs the results of a crucial test that could confirm everything about his biological connection. Time is also becoming very important. Because if Holden truly is connected to the Winters family, there may be a medical emergency involved, something that requires urgent attention and a matching donor. But Holden doesn't know how complicated this situation is about to become. While he is trying to process everything emotionally, Audra is already processing something else entirely: opportunity. She begins to see pieces of information that could be used in different ways. Not necessarily for truth, but possibly for control. And that's where the tension begins to rise. Because in Genoa City, secrets never stay hidden for long. And when the wrong person hears the right conversation, everything can spiral out of control very quickly. Holden is still unaware that his life-changing truth has already been overheard. Claire is unaware that their private moment is no longer private. And Audra is now holding information that could change everything. As the story builds, one question begins to form. Is Holden Novak about to discover the truth about his past, or is someone about to twist that truth before he ever gets the chance? And more importantly, how far will Audra Charles go with what she just heard? As the situation continues to unfold, things in Genoa City become even more complicated for Holden Novak. After discovering the shocking possibility about his biological family, Holden is now focused on one thing: the test results. He needs answers, and he needs them fast. Because there is more at stake than just identity. There is also a serious medical concern connected to his possible biological father. If the match is correct, Holden could be the key to saving a life. But if anything goes wrong, the consequences could be devastating. Holden is trying to stay calm, but it's not easy. Every moment feels heavier than the last. He is waiting for confirmation, waiting for truth, waiting for something solid to hold on to in a world that suddenly feels unstable. Meanwhile, Claire Newman continues to support him. She can clearly see how much pressure he is under. Holden is not just confused, he is emotionally exhausted. And Claire becomes the only person who can help him stay grounded during this chaos. But what they still don't realize is that their conversation has already created a ripple effect. Because Audra Charles is no longer just an accidental listener. She is now fully aware that something important is going on. And the details she overheard are beginning to sink in. Holden's connection to the Winters family, the mention of medical urgency, and the possibility of a life or death situation tied to a donor match, all of it is starting to form a bigger picture in Audra's mind. And that is where things start to get dangerous. Audra is not someone who ignores useful information. She knows how powerful secrets can be. And right now, she may be sitting on information that could influence multiple lives. As Holden waits for his test results, unaware of any outside interference, Audra begins to think strategically. She is not openly acting yet, but her mind is already working through different possibilities. What if the results can be influenced? What if the truth is not revealed at the right time? And what if this entire situation can be used to her advantage? At the same time, Holden is becoming more anxious. Every delay feels suspicious. Every silence feels heavier. He starts wondering if something is wrong, not just with the situation, but with the process itself. Claire tries to reassure him, but even she can sense that something feels off. There is too much tension, too many unknowns, and too many people connected to the secret in ways they don't fully understand yet. And somewhere in the background, Audra continues to observe, listen, and think. Because in her mind, this is no longer just about family drama. It is about leverage, control, and survival in a world where information is power. Holden, however, is still focused on one thing, the truth. He wants to know who he really is. He wants to know where he belongs. And he believes the test results will finally give him that clarity. But what he doesn't realize is that sometimes, the truth is not just discovered, it is decided. And someone else may already be deciding his future. As the story deepens in Genoa City, the pressure surrounding Holden Novak continues to rise. He is still waiting for his test results, and every passing moment feels like an eternity. His mind is constantly racing, thinking about his biological connection, the possibility of saving a life, and the uncertainty of what those results will reveal. For Holden, this is no longer just emotional confusion. It is becoming something far more serious. Something that could define his entire future. Claire Newman remains by his side, trying her best to keep him calm. But even she can feel the tension building. There is something about this situation that doesn't feel completely stable. Too many secrets, too many unanswered questions, and too many people suddenly involved. And then there is Audra Charles. Audra is no longer just an overhearer of a private conversation. She is now actively thinking about what she knows and what she can do with it. What she heard about Holden's connection to the Winters family is not something she is willing to simply ignore. Especially when it could open doors, create influence, or give her leverage in future situations. Slowly, Audra begins to form a plan in her mind. At first, it's subtle. Just thoughts. Possibilities. Scenarios playing out in different ways. But the more she thinks about it, the more she realizes how powerful this information could become if handled correctly. Holden, meanwhile, is completely unaware of what is happening behind the scenes. He is focused only on the test results, believing that once they arrive, everything will finally make sense. But delays begin to make him uneasy. Why is it taking so long? Is something wrong with the process? Or is there something more going on that he doesn't know about? Claire tries to reassure him again, but even her confidence is starting to feel fragile. She can sense that Holden is reaching a breaking point emotionally. And the more Holden struggles internally, the more the situation begins to shift externally. Because Audra is not the type of person who simply sits on information without considering its value. She begins to think about control, not just over the situation, but over how the information is revealed and who benefits from it. Could the test results be influenced? Could timing change everything? And could Holden be pushed into a position where he has no choice but to react the way someone else wants? These thoughts don't turn into action yet, but they are no longer just passing ideas. At the same time, Holden starts noticing small things that make him uneasy. Conversations feel too coincidental. Moments feel too perfectly timed. And his instincts begin to tell him that something is not right. He cannot prove anything yet, but the feeling grows stronger. Something about this entire situation feels like it is not fully in his control anymore. And that is exactly where the danger lies. Because in Genoa City, control is everything. And once someone starts pulling the strings behind the scenes, the truth can become much harder to reach. Audra remains calm on the outside, but inside, her calculations are getting sharper. She is no longer just observing. She is preparing. And Holden, still waiting for his results, has no idea that his life-changing truth may already be surrounded by someone else's agenda. In Genoa City, the tension finally reaches a new level as the long-awaited test results for Holden Novak are finally expected to arrive. Holden has been waiting for this moment with a mix of fear and hope. On one hand, he wants answers about his biological identity. On the other hand, he is scared of what those answers might change forever. Because deep down, Holden already knows, once these results come in, nothing in his life will ever be the same again. Claire Newman stays close to him during this time. She can see how anxious he is becoming. Holden is trying to act strong, but the pressure is clearly affecting him. Every minute feels heavier than the last. And then, the moment arrives. The test results are finally in. But instead of bringing immediate clarity, they create even more confusion. Something about the timing feels off. The delivery feels rushed, almost uncertain. And Holden immediately senses that something is not as straightforward as it should be. He tries to focus, tries to understand what the results mean, but the emotional weight makes it difficult to process everything at once. Claire notices his reaction and tries to help him stay grounded. But even she can see it, the results are not giving the clean, simple answers everyone expected. And somewhere nearby, Audra Charles is paying very close attention. Because for Audra, this is the moment everything either falls into place, or becomes even more complicated. She watches carefully as Holden reacts. She studies the situation, the timing, and the emotional responses of everyone involved. And slowly, a new possibility begins to form in her mind. What if the results themselves are not just information, but a tool? What if they can be interpreted differently? Or delayed? Or even influenced in a way that changes the outcome entirely? Holden, meanwhile, is struggling internally. The results are not giving him peace. Instead, they are raising more questions than answers. His biological connection feels both closer and more uncertain at the same time. And that confusion starts to affect his trust. He begins to wonder, can he trust the process? Can he trust the people around him? Or is there something happening that he is not fully seeing? Claire tries to reassure him again, but even she feels the uncertainty growing. There are too many moving parts now, and too many emotional stakes involved. At the same time, Audra becomes more focused than ever. She understands that information like this is powerful not just for truth, but for control. And control in Genoa City often decides who wins and who loses. She starts thinking ahead. Not just about what is happening now, but what could happen next. If the results are misunderstood, someone could benefit. If the timing is manipulated, the truth could be delayed. And if Holden is emotionally vulnerable enough, he could be influenced in ways he doesn't even realize. Holden is still trying to make sense of everything, but the emotional pressure is building fast. He came here looking for answers. But instead, he may have walked into something far more complicated than he ever expected. And as the results begin to settle into the story, one thing becomes clear. This is no longer just about family truth. It is about control, timing, and hidden intentions. And Audra Charles may be standing closer to the center of it than anyone realizes. As the story reaches its final stage in Genoa City, everything begins to move toward a breaking point. Holden Novak is now fully overwhelmed by everything that has happened. The test results are in, the emotions are high, and the truth he has been chasing feels more complicated than ever. What he expected to be a clear answer about his biological identity has instead turned into a situation filled with confusion, doubt, and emotional pressure. Claire Newman stays by his side, But even she can feel it, this situation is no longer simple. There are too many unanswered questions, and too much tension surrounding the results. Holden tries to stay strong, but inside, he is struggling. He wants clarity. He wants truth. But what he is getting feels incomplete, almost unsettling. And then comes the turning point. Small inconsistencies begin to surface. Details that don't fully align. Timing that feels suspicious. And slowly, Holden starts to realize that something may not have gone the way it was supposed to. At the same time, Audra Charles is no longer just observing from a distance. She has been holding on to information, analyzing situations, and thinking several steps ahead. But now, the pressure starts to shift back toward her. Because in Genoa City, secrets never stay buried forever. Holden begins asking more questions. Claire starts noticing irregularities too. And the situation around the test results becomes harder to ignore. The possibility of interference or manipulation is now hanging in the air even if nothing has been officially proven yet. Audra, who once thought she might have control over the situation, now begins to feel the risk of exposure. The same information she believed could give her leverage is now something that could turn against her. Holden starts putting pieces together. Not everything makes sense, but enough feels wrong for him to become suspicious. And once suspicion enters the picture, trust begins to break. Claire encourages him to stay calm and look at everything carefully, but Holden is now determined to get full answers, no matter what it takes. The emotional weight reaches its peak when Holden realizes this journey was never just about a simple test result. It was about identity, power, hidden intentions, and the people who may have tried to control the outcome behind the scenes. Audra's position becomes more unstable as the truth inches closer to the surface. Whether she actively did something or simply considered it, the situation now has consequences. And in Genoa City, consequences always find their way out. In the final moments of this unfolding story, one thing becomes clear. Holden Novak is no longer just searching for his past. He is now standing in the middle of a much bigger truth, one that involves trust, deception, and life-changing decisions. And as everything settles, the biggest question remains. Who was really telling the truth, and who was controlling it from the very beginning? The answers may finally be close, but the fallout has only just begun. So let's talk about something that's been creating a lot of discussion among the young and the restless fans. There's a growing question right now, and it's not a small one. Is it finally time to get rid of Victor Newman? Yeah, that's the question many viewers can't stop asking. Because for a long time, Victor Newman has been one of the most powerful and dominant figures in Genoa City. He's always been in control, always one step ahead, always shaping events around him. But recently, something feels different. A lot of fans are starting to feel like the character's direction has become too predictable. The same patterns, the same power moves, the same conflicts over and over again. And this time, it really hit a nerve. It all comes after a recent moment in the show where Victor basically told his granddaughter that accountability is something weak people worry about. And for many viewers, that moment was the breaking point. Because it didn't just feel like a casual line, it felt like a mindset. A family mindset. One that suggests rules don't really apply when you're a Newman. And that's exactly what sparked the debate online. Fans started reacting strongly, saying they're tired of the same cycle repeating again and again. Some feel like the Newman family always comes out on top no matter what they do, and there are never real consequences. That frustration is what turned a simple storyline moment into a bigger conversation. Now people aren't just talking about one scene. They're talking about the future of the character himself. And whether it might be time for a major change in the show. Because love him or hate him, Victor Newman has always been at the center of power in Genoa City. But now, for the first time in a long time, that power is being questioned. And this debate is only getting louder. As the conversation continues online, things start to get even more intense. Because this isn't just a small opinion anymore. It's turning into a full debate among the young and the restless viewers. A lot of fans are now openly saying they feel tired of the same pattern repeating around Victor Newman and the Newman family. For them, it feels like no matter what happens in Genoa City, the Newmans always find a way to stay on top. And that frustration is building. Some viewers are even saying they want to see consequences for Victor's actions, real consequences, not temporary setbacks that get fixed in the next storyline. Others are imagining something bigger, like multiple characters finally standing together against him. Because in their eyes, Victor has been in control for so long that it might be time for the balance to shift. Social media comments reflect that mood very clearly. People are talking about revenge plots, alliances, and long overdue payback. Some even believe that characters like Phyllis and others could eventually play a role in challenging him in a serious way. The idea is simple: if one person can't take him down, maybe a group can. And that thought alone is enough to keep fans talking. At the same time, there are still viewers who defend Victor, saying his character has always been this way: powerful, strict, and unshakable. But even among his supporters, there's no denying one thing. The conversation has changed. It's no longer just about storylines. It's about whether audiences still want to see things stay the same, or finally move in a different direction. And right now, that question doesn't have a clear answer.